Hello everyone and welcome to PaxAria Gaming. This is Reg. I'm your host on this journey as we continue Nightreign. We're at part 3. So the third expedition, which is the Sentient Pest Expedition. And as always, for full disclosure, I've attempted this expedition, I think, 3 other times. And I've learned a few things since the last time. So you cannot kill the 2 bosses that make up the Sentient Pest. I don't think that's his name. I think it has another name, but you can't kill them independently. So if you're aiming... attempting to kill the moth alone, that won't work. If you're attempting to kill the lobster-like creature alone, that also won't work. You have to whittle both their healths down and kill them that way. I think on my first run, I was focused on the lobster, which is not very smart since I am a archer. I should focus on the one that the other players can't get to, which was the moth, since he's always flying around. I think I did 2 of them like that, and then on the third one, I focused on the moth, thinking that I could kill them independently before I learned that I could not kill them independently. So in the next run, we got our act together. I did focus more on the moth, simply because he's flying around. I think... it was me and one other character that had range attacks that we can focus on the moth. But we knew we had to whittle the health of both of them down, so that's what we ended up doing. So let's start our expedition with Damien, Kane, and Cloud. As always, we start with going to the nearest camp so that we can get at least 1 level. So we kill anything that we see, and there should be a site of grace nearby. And if I don't get it, no worries, we'll just kill a few more enemies. Maybe we can get 2 levels instead of just the 1 level. The first level you get doubles your health and stuff like that. But if you can get 2, that's even better. Fortunately for us, there's a church nearby, so we'll go in and get the additional flask. Check out things that we need. Every time I go on one of the expeditions, I learn a little bit more about Iron Eye. I played as Iron Eye in the last 2 expeditions. Initially, I was going to sort of tool around and try different ones, but I would only do that if I'm going to replay the game, which is all of the expeditions again. I would play it as a different character. And my fear is getting used to the mechanics of the other ones might not be as easy, or may take me longer than I want. You know, one of the things about Iron Eye, you always have the marking ability, which is great. And if you're fortunate enough to pick up particular runes, not runes, the other items, if you can sort of change some of its characteristics. And so if you sort of scope out which Nightlord you're going to be facing at the end of an expedition, you should build your loadout with that in mind. Like, for instance, I know that this Nightlord is supposedly weak to fire. So as we make our way through day 1 and 2, I'll try to find a fire-based bow. Or at least a way for me to add that particular attribute to it. Like the last boss was weak to fire. I think the first boss was holy. Now, it doesn't mean that everything that you face in day 1 and 2 will be weak to fire. But my feeling is, don't worry about who you face in day 1 or 2. It's really the final boss that you need to be concerned about. So you want to try to get the thing that's going to cause him the most, that's going to do the most damage to that particular boss. And in this particular case, I know it's fire. I think the next one is lightning. One of the things I've learned from my my various attempts at these playthroughs is don't go following these guys when they go into the night. They're braver than I am. They'll run in there, kill a few enemies, and then run out. When I tried that in my first 2 attempts, and I think my first video I did not upload. It is a unsuccessful run. I guess I should have uploaded that. Maybe I will at some point. I kept doing that. I kept getting caught by the night. And then, you know, instead of just opening the map and sort of looking at where it is, where I am, relative to the night, I would just try to run in a particular direction. Of course, I always chose the wrong direction. So not really a smart way to play the game. But I see how playing this game for many hours, you get really good. I mean, you know, the maps, there's some elements of the map that is pretty similar. If you're going into one of the castle fort type places, the layout is the same. The churches, when you're going to get the flask, the layout is the same. You know, some of the other areas, it's similar layout. So once you learn that layout, it's a little bit faster for you to maneuver your way through. I think the first few times it was terrible because I just couldn't figure out where things were. I would get lost once I got separated from my companions. Instead of just going to where the pin was, I'd be looking for them on the map. And one of the things I've learned just watching some of these other guys play is that just go to the pin. You know, don't worry about it. If 2 of them are going to the target, 2 of them are usually good enough to kill whatever it is they're trying to kill. And if you want to pick up a level while you're heading towards the pin, then shoot all the little mob guys that you see along the way. So it took me a while to figure that out, and so I don't stress as much as I did initially. You know, initially I'm running around looking for them or trying to find a pathway to get to them. By the time I got to the pathway, they were done and moving on. Now the only downside is, of course, you miss weapons. You miss loot that you might find that may be really, really good loot. You don't really miss levels if you're still killing things, but you definitely will miss loot. So it's an option, you know, for those noobs like me. It's an option for the expert players out there who played multiplayer a lot. It's a little different. This is my first multiplayer game, so it's a little different for me. And I guess, generally speaking, you can't really talk to your partners, although you can if you put together a group and you're all on. So you can set up multiplayer so you can communicate if it's your own private little group. I've seen a number of YouTubers do that, which is helpful. You know, one guy will say, "Oh, you go to the church and do blah blah blah, and I'll do this, that, and the other. Oh, I dropped something for you there." So the communication actually helps. When you don't have that, and they're trying to signal to you to do something, like, I don't know what this guy is trying to convey. Okay, I don't want to waste time with that guy. I really need to get up here. This is one of these where the other thing I noticed is that other players, you know, I've been sort of falling in love with using the bow, even though every once in a while I have something else in my offhand. I don't tend to use what's in my offhand for some weird reason. You know, I go for, if it has a passive, I'll have it in my hand, but I really need to start using that stuff because you can get more damage in, right? You know, if you're close, you've marked your opponent, you can, and you happen to be really, really close, and the arrow notching is too slow compared to the number of whacks you can get with, you know, twin blades or something along those lines. You may as well use those. This game does get your pulse up because you are constantly on the move. I mean, you get a little bit of break if you get to the end of day 2. Actually, not day 2. You get to the end of a day 1. Let's say day 1, for instance, and you get there early, and that's happened a couple of times where you get there and you're waiting, and if there's any other enemies close by, you just go and, you know, kill them so you can get more runes. Yeah, by now I should know the layout of this one. I keep getting it wrong. You know, and it is a waste of time to try to fight all of those guys because by the time you're done, this will happen. Right? So they've already killed whatever was up here. I hope these guys know I will be pulling my weight. I'm just, you know, hadn't had my cup of coffee yet, so I'm still getting my legs under me. But yeah, you want to, you know, I'd say if you have, you know, 20 or 30 hours into the game, you probably know the layout pretty well by now. Okay, see, the night is approaching. And each time I play, I will say I remember more and more of it. So there is a bit of a learning curve. Not a lot, but there's a little learning curve. You know, in earlier run-throughs, a lot of the guys I played with weren't stopping to kill anybody. They would just go to find a field boss or something like that. So it was very difficult to get to level 10 or 12 by the time you got to day 3. But these guys, the last couple of runs have been much more efficient, where you're definitely able to get there. I think at one point on one of these I hit level 15, and I lost a level because I died, and I never got it back, but that was pretty good, because I think that if you go into day 3's boss, the Nightlord, I think that as long as you're 10 or above, you should be okay. Obviously, the higher the better, but you know, anything less than 10, I think is going to be a problem. And generally speaking, you know, other members of your team is usually a little bit higher, but you want to do your part. So you don't want to be hanging out at level 9 or 8 while they're both at level 15. Yeah, I see this. I have to, you know, again, one of the guys runs back into the night to do something, and I'm like trying to follow him, and I realize, okay, no, ignore that, because you're gonna end up dead. And it doesn't make sense to lose a level for something like that. Early on I did. You know, I just kept making bad decisions. But now, like I said, it's easy for me to figure out where to go. They always drop a pin. One of these guys, I don't think I've ever dropped one, but I think they always sort of pin the location, so you always know where you need to go or where they're heading. Now, along the way, if there's things that they can do, why not? As long as they're keeping track of where the night is. Okay, well, this is not as bad as this freaking Crucible Knight guys. Or the Night Cavalry guys. The ones where there are 3 of them. They're such a pain in the neck. Whenever there's just one big enemy, I'm like, okay, I can deal with that. It's the Night Cavalry that ride around in circles. You're focused on one, you don't know where the other 2 are. You sort of hope that each of your teammates has one of them, or at least keeping their attention. I will say this is probably one of only 2 times we've played with 2 Iron Eyes. I think early in one of my unsuccessful runs, there were 2 Iron Eyes, and we didn't do all that well. It was when we were doing the gaping jaw guy, who, at least so far, has been the most difficult boss for me. First boss was the easiest so far. I like this because this will get us levels. Oops, someone died. these watchdogs aren't all that difficult as long as you stay out of their little rampage. They telegraph their moves. Oh, there's different versions of them. I mean, some are magic wielding and some are fire breathing and so on and so forth. So as long as you stay out of the where they're just jumping up and down and smashing you, if they lock you in a corner, it's going to be very difficult to escape. Okay, we're at level 2. This is still day 2. So hopefully by the end of day 2, we'll be at 10 or higher, which we should be if we're at level 8 right now. Oh my god. I could potentially lose a level right now. These carrion knights are not fun. Yep. Yeah, when we're in a situation like this, and maybe this is one of those situations where having 2 archers is not a good thing, since this Loretta type carrion knight can also use archery, magic, and all this other stuff. And if I'm smart, wow, he just sort of whacks you as soon as you get. I would stay up here and just shoot at him. Okay, one of the guys are down. Let's see if I can get him back up. Yep. So yeah, so, and if I could stay up here and sort of whittle away at his health, if the other archer was on the other side, that probably wouldn't be a good strategy. Right? If we're pinging him with arrows from both sides, and then the guy in the middle. Jeez. Okay. Alright, so we all died. Okay, so we're going to... Looks like we got him down to a little, about 25 to 30% health. You'd think that would make it easy to kill him. See, this is a level lost. I hate that. And I also hate the fact that we're spending so much time on this one guy. Okay. Another death. Okay. But he's down. Alright. Yeah, that was not a good run on that one. Alright, this is good because I can shoot arrows while moving, which I always feel like I can do anyway. So if I hadn't lost a level, probably would be at level 9 right now. So that's one of the things you learn in terms of trying to make sure that your run is as efficient as possible, is don't lose a level. That's one of the goals. Now, it's not always possible because sometimes you will end up getting killed. As long as it doesn't end up in a defeat. If all 3 of you die before one of you start to revive, then that's a defeat. You know, I don't know why these guys are picking the absolute hardest, most ass bosses in the game to fight. This is another one that can easily kill you. You're doing a lot of damage. These death birds are, they were a pain in the neck in the base game. And I think they're weak to holy, but I don't think, since the final boss isn't weak to holy, I wasn't focused on getting anything that could be holy based. And we're doing good damage, but it can still be deadly. Yeah, the one thing about the ultimates that you have is that if you are in a situation where the ultimate gauge is full and whoever you're fighting is going for one of those kill shots, if you use the ultimate at that point, you have invincibility frames. So in some cases, it just makes sense to hold off until you get to that point. Yeah, we seem to be getting a lot of bows in this one. This is good. The Iron Eye starting bow is probably the best bow that you can... I don't think it's the best bow that you can have, but it's a pretty good bow. If you wanted to, you could use that the whole time. Alright, I missed my my jump up here. Let's try it again. Yeah, I screwed up the direction. Okay, now we're good. Okay, the Erdtree avatars are pretty easy. Maybe this will get me to level 11. But at level 10, like I said, you're good enough now that if you ended day 2 and you went into day 3 with this level, you should be okay. So anything extra is nice. But it does reduce the stress once you get to this point a little bit. Some of the great bows are really slow to use. I've died notching great arrows in the great bow. It got me killed. The pulley crossbow is pretty good. The one that fires 3 shots at once. But I haven't found it again. I've only found it one time. And once I found it, I used it the remainder of the run, including with the boss. The Banished Knights aren't bad either. And usually there are a bunch of other little support guys around that you can kill as well. trying to catch up to these guys again. Yeah, we're getting close to the end of day 2. I was thinking about going over to the side of grace and change my change my mind. At least the way these guys are playing it, you do have some time to think. You know, if you get to the final boss area early, I need to get out of here. Wow. Okay, I sort of set up in the wrong spot there. Okay, one of these annoying snake guys got me. We have the great worm that we're dealing with. And we got these little annoying guys that I guess we should take out. Okay, I think they're all gone. So you're familiar with the magma worm from the base game? I guess the Great Worm is a sort of bigger, slightly bigger version of it. But the moveset is the same. He's got this sword thing he throws around when he spins around. He can hit you with that. He can hit you with his tail. And he can spew lava at you. And he'll sometimes do that and leave a trail. Yeah, he'll sort of go around in like a little semicircle. Yeah, I kept getting hit. Even though I know that his tail and that weapon he has in his hand, when he spins around, he tends to sort of wield it when he's doing that. And I keep getting hit by it. You know, I was trying to get close enough to mark him, to do a little bit more damage. The goal, you know, if you're playing as Iron Eye, is to always leave him marked. That would have been a good opportunity for me to mark him right there. When he was down and not flailing around like he usually does. Okay, we have the mark on him. I'm going to use the rain. The problem with the rain is, unless he's really stable, it doesn't do as much damage as it has the potential for doing. Like if you use it when he's down, then you get more damage because he's not moving around. If you use it when he's doing this, chances are he's not going to stay in one spot long enough for you to use it. Although he is right now, he's in the same spot. Okay, down mark again. Yeah. See, now if you use the rain at this point, would be a great time to use it. But I think he's just about done anyway. Yeah, he's, before he can go on any other rampages, he's going to cross the Rainbow Bridge and hang out with his fellow dead lizards. I figured I'd choose improved physical attack power. Now we're going to enter the spirit shelter to prepare for the boss of this expedition. Okay, so I'm going into this final battle at level 12, which is okay. I said I've only gotten to level 15 once going into a boss battle, and I think I lost during that battle anyway. Anything above 10 I think is pretty okay. So the Sentient Pest is a combination of Gnoster, who is the moth, and Faurtis, who is the lobster-like creature. And again, as I mentioned before, they can't be killed independently. And so it took me a while to figure that out. So while you can focus on one just to keep them separate, right, to do some damage, you're not going to actually end the boss fight by killing one or the other. And this is one of these situations where, you know, one of us needs to always stay alive if we don't want to fail this. He said, it's not my first run through. I failed the previous 2 or 3. Actually, it was more than 3, but anyway, I failed the previous ones. So hopefully, it'll be interesting doing this with 2 archers. I think before it was an archer, it was Duchess and maybe a guardian when we did this the last time I did it before this run. Hey, one of the things is the music is beautiful. So the music for this boss fight is absolutely beautiful. Not quite sure why. But because he's weak to fire, you know, we're trying to get a little bit of damage in on him. And one of the things I learned about these fights is that patience is the name of the game. You know, I mean, I think that the desire to go in and whack thinking that you can kill them when they have such a huge health pool is just not going to work. Now, if you solo, then the health pool is 2/3 less. So just as an FYI, right? So it'll be 7,000 versus, you know, 21,000 HP in terms of the health pool of these bosses. You still have to deal with 2 of them, and they're still using all the same moves. You know, Gnoster will do his magic thing, or her magic thing, and Faurtis will continue to rampage at you. You know, and it's just one of you, so if you end up getting marked by them, that's a huge problem. Because they'll be ultra aggressive. If one of us gets marked, then we're okay, because the other 2 will be alright. There's only ever going to be one person marked at a time. Okay, so now both these guys are down. So as an archer, what I'm trying to do is to revive one. The easiest one to revive is the one I'm going to go for. Actually, they're both equally easy at this point. Alright, so I got one of them up. And now now the idea is to get the other one up. So the other, okay, so we're all back up again. So that's one of the things that you want to manage in this particular fight. Because I don't think there's a way not to end it. Well, at least for me, there wasn't a possibility that I wasn't going to die in this fight. The one thing that didn't happen to me in this fight that happened in the previous one was Gnoster actually grabbed me. I think it's poison damage it does when it grabs onto you. He also spews poison, a poison cloud that you need to run away from. And if he does that with one of your teammates, if you just shoot your arrow at him, it should eliminate that. Okay, so now it's being hyper aggressive towards the marked companion, but you should still be doing damage, so I should be a little bit closer. I don't know whether I'm going to be able to mark them. I mean, it's just, these guys are kind of dangerous, and they move around a lot. But marking would make it easy. You need to avoid those towers of light as well, because they will insta-kill you. I don't know how you get out of it once you're struck, because you get stun locked and it'll just bore you into the ground. There's poison again. You just run out of the cloud. If it poisons you completely, if the bar fills up, then you'll take poison damage unless you have something to mitigate it. I mean, one of the things is you could also have items that will help reduce the effects of some of these things, like poison and stuff like that. That would help. I didn't think about that in this one. I missed the mark. I was trying to mark them. And the thing is, I think if you mark one, they're not both marked. So they, even though they share a health bar, I don't know. Maybe when they're connected, if you mark them, they're both marked. I'm not sure. I was trying to revive the other guy, but they're trying to murder me, so I'm getting out of the way. Okay, so these revived. Looks like we're 2/3 of the way. It's a long fight. I mean, so, you know, don't lose patience and start doing things that's gonna cause you more grief. You know, you'll end up being unalive pretty easily by some of the moves that these guys have. Alright, so I think I got a mark on him. See, one of the things I wish I had was rain of arrows. Whenever any enemy is down like that, you can do so much more damage if you have something that's high damage. But he may be immune to it, so it might not have worked anyway. Alright, looks like he's down to 25%. We're all still alive for the moment. For the lasers from heaven thing again. Just keep moving. Those are the bigger spread projectiles are a little bit easier to dodge. The focus ones are easy to dodge as well, actually. That thing, I don't see how you can dodge. And one of the things is if I had my ultimate ready, I could fire my ultimate at him and it'll likely revive the guy who's down if he's close enough to it. I noticed that in a couple of other runs. But it's not ready and it won't be anytime soon. So while they're focused on the other guy, let's see if I can get him back. As lobster guy approaches me. Okay, that was kind of risky anyway. Okay, he's almost back. Come on, just a bit more. Alright, he's back. Okay, we got this. He's down to less than 10%. Okay, well, now I'm dead. That's okay, because I don't think... Okay, they brought me back. And he died. Okay, he's marked. My ultimate is almost ready. I'm trying to revive this guy. Okay, he's back. And I'm dead. Okay, so it's a good strategy to keep reviving anyone who's down and just not leaving them. I've seen, some playthroughs where they just let the guy stay dead, and I'm like, unless you're pretty sure you're going to kill him, you wouldn't want to do that. Okay, ultimate's there. I think I totally whiffed it. This doesn't look like it did any damage. Another guy is down. Whoa. Almost got caught by that thing. Another guy is down again. That's okay. Doesn't matter because I think we got this at this point. Yep. All right. Not necessarily a clean victory, but that's how you do it. If you have someone who can revive you, especially if you're ranged, it's a lot easier to do that reviving than if you didn't have range, because that would have meant I needed to be up close and personal, whacking them. Although that's a strange mechanic to sort of revive someone. Just beat them until they wake up. But being able to do it from a distance, I think, is really, really key in some of these fights. But I also think it's important to revive them, and at least when you get to day 3. You're not going to suffer a defeat if someone dies in day 2 or day 1. They'll just respawn. They'll lose a level, which happened to me, but they'll respawn. But if they die in day 3, then it's a defeat. Well, if you all die in day 3, it's a defeat. So it is important to keep reviving them. It was one playthrough I was doing, and one guy, it was probably the second boss. He managed to stay alive and actually finish the fight by himself. He tried to get to us to revive us, but there were 3 segments of the health bar that needed to be sort of reactivated, and he could only get 1 before he started being chased around again, which made it very difficult. So I kept thinking to myself, just don't do that. Just ignore us. And right now the boss is down to almost no health. Just go ahead and kill it. He was playing as a guardian. Okay, first peek. What is this? In the winter cold of the first peak, only the stronger survive. All right. So the next area we're going to looks like it's going to be a frosty area, which is okay. So let's go take a look at our relics. I think I only had one lightning-based relic in this particular run, and it probably wasn't very strong. No, not lightning-based, fire-based. For the next one, I need a lightning-based one. I haven't found I think the most potent relics yet. There is a recommendation of relics for Iron Eye, and one or two of them I have, but the other ones I haven't gotten to yet, and they can't be purchased. I did try to buy it from the jar guy, and he didn't have them. So I guess they're found in the game at some point. But for some reason, he had them pretty early. He had them by the time he got to the second boss, and I'm not quite sure how you would do that, unless it was a second playthrough or something like that. I didn't get the impression that it was, though. So I have tons of relics, but they're not all useful. I guess if I switch characters, I may find that I have more powerful relics for certain characters than I do for Iron Eye. Anyway, we're going to wrap up Expedition number 3. Having taken on the Sentient Pest, Gnoster, and Faurtis. And when we come back in the next episode, we will be on to the 4th Nightlord. I believe that expedition is Augur. The Augur expedition. And I think the name of the Nightlord is Maris. And I believe that one is weak to lightning. And we'll see how we do with that. But for now, thank you guys for joining me. Thank the team that worked to have us defeat the boss. And I will see you in the next episode.